Welcome back to the Off the Bar Podcast. My name's Ben. I'm joined by Brandon, and today we're going to be talking about Champions League and Europa League. Now, we saw some exciting matchups. We saw some Man United versus Lask matchups. Absolute dog shit is really what I'm trying to say here. Now, we're going to start off with Europa League, and since we are kind of on the topic of Manchester United a little bit, they faced Copenhagen.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah, and also it's one game elimination. What's your take?
Going into today's games, obviously I think Man United have to be favorites in this game. Man United versus Copenhagen. I mean, I don't know if Ollie's going to be as quick to play some of those reserves more than he was against Lask, just because it is single elimination. So I think there's more in it now to just play the starting 11. Just play, maybe not full strength. Maybe you don't see a Bruno or Pogba right away. But
yeah,
you will definitely see somewhat of a full strength starting 11. Just because. Yeah, I know it's Copenhagen. I know it's Lask, but at least they were up 5-0 against on aggregate, right?
And even with Lask, they still played a really weird lineup. They played Maguire. They played some starting caliber players.
Right, yeah, but I think it's also to get them back into some of the swing of it, just so that way they have some bit of freshness going into this Europa League game, going into the Europa League tournament, like the rest of it, just so that way Man United can, have some freshness. I mean, and not have to play not to have to play a starting 11 for every single game. Maybe, again, I think he's just trying to use that rotation, especially since Man United do have somewhat of an easier schedule going towards the final. I think Man United's most difficult opponent will probably be either Wolves or Sevilla, because they're in that draw. And I think it's just going to be interesting to see. I think it's really going to be interesting to see as to how Ollie does line up and how he manages the squad. Now, if we see a full strength starting 11, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think we might see a little bit of rotation throughout the Copenhagen game, just for this Copenhagen game, and then maybe into the semifinal, since it's single elimination, and Man United do have to play a Wolves or Sevilla, I do believe.
It would make more sense to not play full starting 11, but it does make sense to play some starting 11.
It does. No. I'm not saying you don't start. I'm saying you probably will see a Rashford and a Gallo, a Dan James starting, right? And then and then your midfield will probably be like Matic, Bruno, and Fred, right? Or McTominay. Your right back and your left back is probably either going to be Shaw. Your left back is probably going to be like Williams or Shaw if he's.
Shaw's not Shaw. He's already been out.
Okay, so Williams or Chong, because he played. Honestly, a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people were saying how great he played. Granted, it's against Lask, but there's still some proof that maybe he can. Maybe this is a lot. I saw a lot of Evra 2.0. I saw a lot of comparisons to an Evra 2.0.
One game though.
I know it's one game.
It's one game.
I know it's one game. I know, but again, this is people on Twitter, and this is a lot of what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. So, that's what a lot of people comparing to. So you can always play Chung at left back again, right back maybe Fosu Mensah, and then if you want to bring on Aaron Wan-Bissaka if needed.
We've seen Laird, Mengi, and Garner travel with the team, so they're still options. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure too. And then center backs, I think. He might go with, I think, the same Lindelof and Maguire, or you might
Maguire Bay. He went with
So you might see Maguire Bay. I doubt he's gonna go with Phil Jones.
Come on, it's Phil Jones.
Shut up. So I think with Ollie, he's gonna just try to make some rotations, but I just see Man United obviously going through with this. I mean, Copenhagen shouldn't be that much of an issue.
That's what the opponents before thought.
But there's also Istanbul, so
yeah, you know how cocky Istanbul people can be.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think consensus, unless Ollie fumbles the bag or just says, all right, we're going to want to rest for the next season.
I think what's also interesting, though, is the fact that I know they're the UCL and Europa League, they're playing in, UCL's playing in Lisbon, they're playing in Cologne, which I think is
Germany.
No, I know it's in Germany, but I'm saying I think it's just very interesting the fact that how they're doing it. I am gonna go over to the other game on Monday, which is Inter versus Leverkusen. I'm just gonna throw it to you real quick. Leverkusen do have a strong squad. So same with Inter. Maybe this whole controversy over whether or not Conte is still going to be their manager come next season or not. I think this game puts a lot of pressure on him to do well against Leverkusen, who are somewhat of a strong side in Germany. How do you see that working out?
I think personally, with the Leverkusen, they have to, and I know I'll get to Inter in a second, but with Leverkusen, they have to kind of block out the idea that Havertz is officially joining Chelsea.
There hasn't really been talks. Right, yeah.
But what I'm saying is that it seems like even, we had the joke that, like, Leroy Sané confirmed it. But, they have to block out that by saying, okay, he's our best player by far on the team. They have Jonathan Tah, they have Volland. But he's our best, brightest and best young player since Brandt left. And even then, you could still argue that he was still there, but
yeah,
you have to feed off of him, and you have to make sure that his mentality's in Leverkusen. It's a sign of a great player. I mean, he didn't have the best game last game, but it's a sign of a great player to see if he can kind of, okay, I'm not going to Chelsea yet. Let's stay on par, and let's go. With Inter, I see them as the favorites in this game, just because you have, probably one of the best strike forces in Europe, with Lukaku and Martinez. And Lukaku's been on this kind of prove everyone wrong run that he's had this year. So I think he's played incredibly well ever since the restart. Alexis Sanchez has played incredibly well. I think with them it's just keep defending at the back tight, and goals will come. I think I wouldn't be so I'll go with Inter for this one, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Leverkusen they play off of Havertz and they win the game.
Right. No, I'm kind of agreeing with you. The fact that Inter are probably favorites in this one, just because they do have, I think honestly, one of the better best sides in this competition. Like, it is really surprising the fact that they didn't make it into the Champions League. I mean, I know they were in a difficult group. I think it was like Juve, Dortmund, and them in that group, and like I don't know, like Lokomotiv Moscow or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
but like, it's
always in the group of death. It's three really good teams, and then one just absolutely terrible team. It's always I remember that clip that went viral this year, where it was like
Red Star Belgrade's like
when they got drawn in the group with he started laughing. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah, no, it really is like with like him like it was like I forgot.
Barcelona and like another team, two other teams, and he just started dying laughing. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's funny just the fact that like I don't know, like you always get that one group of death team, and it's just like, oh, like that looks fucked. But
so it's like third tier of like the Austrian league.
Like somehow got in, like I don't know.
They bought their way in, really.
Right, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Qatar sides coming.
Qatar actually, technically, they are in the World Cup.
Well, I'm not saying
every host team has to be in the World Cup.
I'm saying like Champions League.
Oh yeah. This Qatar side's Xavi coach.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. All right. So Inter and Leverkusen. I kind of have to agree with you the fact that Inter are going to be the stronger sides in this. But I wouldn't be surprised if Leverkusen take the upset here.
I wouldn't be surprised either, and I think with Inter again, with Inter it's just feeding that partnership, and with Leverkusen it's playing off of Havertz.
Right, and granted, they played Rangers in the round of 16. 4-1 was the aggregate, but I mean, granted, it's a Rangers side, but it's also Rangers are.
Stevie G. They have Stevie G.
I know. I'm sure. I think they're a pretty good defensive side. I mean, granted, they did allow 15 shot attempts. I mean, but like 2 on target, like that. That's just. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Like there definitely could be something in this where Leverkusen could come out on top. I definitely think so. I think honestly they really got to press Inter here and really try to get them on the break. Because I feel like with their slow defenders, I mean, granted, Conte likes his wingbacks to like be moving up and down, up and down the pitch at all times, and that's why he has players like Victor Moses, Ashley Young, Kondreva playing sort of that role. Now that recently bought Alexis Sanchez, kind of playing that role as well. But I think they got to really take advantage of the fact that it's an Inter side that doesn't have the quickest defenders, and I really do think they could really beat them on the counterattack.
Yeah, I think that's their probably go-to.
Right. Next, we're going to get into Tuesday's matchup. Before we get into Wolves and Sevilla, we'll just knock out really quickly. Shakhtar versus Basel. Who do you got? I honestly think it's Shakhtar.
You know what? Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to say Basel.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Wolves and Sevilla, two very strong sides. Wolves obviously have some coming off, not the best Premier League season. They probably wanted to push for more probably push more into fourth place. In the Premier League, Sevilla actually had a really good season in La Liga, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm just checking to see when they finished. They finished fourth, so I think that just gets them into Champions League, which is pretty good. They actually tied with points with Atletico Madrid, so honestly, they have a pretty good season. I know they also had a pretty good squad as well. How do you see this matchup going?
I like Sevilla. I think they're a good team. However, I think Nuno's probably one of the best coaches in the Premier League.
Right.
They have the team to go. They have the team to go far in this competition. If it's a one-game playoff, I'm taking Wolves.
Yeah.
I think Wolves know they know that this is their only shot of getting into Europe this year, or getting into Europe next year, and they probably want it. So, I mean, and they're gonna look ahead and say, okay, we can play Man United. We can play Man United, and then on to the next. They have we can play Inter. Like they're not in the ball. They're not that far from range from those other teams.
Right.
So if you look at I'm just using Inter as an example, but if we look at kind of that idea, I think Wolves probably edges this one. I like Sevilla. I think Sevilla could win this game. I'm not saying they won't, but I think Wolves win this one.
I honestly kind of have to agree with you on that, but I look at Sevilla's lineup. I'm interested in their defense. Sergi Gomez, Koundé, Diego Carlos, Reguilon, who's on loan from Real Madrid. I mean, honestly, these are guys that are coached by actually Spain's ex-boss and Real Madrid's ex-boss. I'm really forgetting his name. Honestly, I'm really bad with names.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, it's just they're getting coached.
They're getting coached by someone. Someone's feeding them orange slices after.
Lopetegui.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lopetegui. Lopetegui actually was a pretty good coach for Spain until he got hired for Real Madrid. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, he sucked ass at Real Madrid, and like
that's a tough job, anyways.
It is. It really
Zidane
is.
Personally, really only had not guy the ship. He's a good tactician, but one of the big reasons why is because he's used to the pressure. So
he also had one of the best players in the world. He had Bale probably at full strength, or at full commitment almost.
When it was Madrid, Wales, golf.
Yeah, pretty much.
In that order.
Yeah, no, it was. He didn't have such an old midfield with Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Lopetegui tried to pick up the pieces, and he really didn't do well. But whatever. I look at the Sevilla side, and they look pretty decent. Not gonna lie, I do like Wolves in this matchup though. However, I think Sevilla could pull one out. I really do think Sevilla could pull one out.
No, yeah, and I'm saying it's going to be an even game, but I think Nuno's a better manager, and I think Wolves are just a better team. Personally. Right. I think, not to throw the excuse that the Premier League is a harder thing because there's an entirely different argument to that, but I think Wolves just have the better team, and they've played bigger play. They've played against big teams before. They've played in the spotlight before. They'll be okay.
Right.
I think with Sevilla, yeah, they played Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, but they don't have to have. We've seen with the English media, I think Wolves are kind of battle tested, and I think they'll probably get past. Would I be surprised to see Sevilla win? Probably not. I expect this to be a close game, but I think Wolves wins this one.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on that. Just because I think there's a lot more pressure on Wolves to do well, just because they probably want to push for Champions League football because they do have that kind of quality side. However, I think just because it's in the Premier League, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So they probably look at this as like one of their only chances or only ways to get into Champions League.
Yeah.
Which is going to be very interesting to see how well they play. So now let's move over to the Champions League. Obviously, they're playing in Lisbon for this.
Yeah. The first game is Paris versus Atalanta. Of course, in the last game we talked about fallen soldier Joseph Ilicic.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully he gets better. I'm sorry that he won't be able to play this game because it's a huge game.
Right.
And if he was been in the team, I would have said Atlanta could probably pull an upset here. We've seen Paris being have been really dodgy in the Champions League before.
Right.
Atlanta came off of incredible form, off of the Serie, but I think Ilicic isn't there. It's a whole new restart. I think you have to give it to Paris for this one.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Paris are going to be without Mbappe, but they still have, a great attacking lineup of, Di Maria, Icardi, Neymar, Sarabia, if they want to play him at Cam or something to that degree. They have an incredible attacking lineup. I really would give Atalanta a shot here, and they probably still have a shot even without Ilicic, just because they do have guys like Zapata, Papu Gomez. They would have had Ilicic, but they have so many others to... Hatenboer is another one that they could rely on defensively. They have guys that can score. It's just going to be if they can, and if they could put away those chances. Ilicic was that, I think, their finisher for them. Not saying that Papu Gomez or Zapata wasn't, but Ilicic was their main guy. He scored 4 against Valencia, and Valencia have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just going to be interesting to see how they go on, especially with it is being single elimination.
I will have to say, Di Maria is suspended for this game. I'm not saying it's a big difference maker, but they will have to play Choupo-Moting in that position.
Probably, or I don't know.
They might switch with the formation, but
they
play Draxler there or someone. But yeah, I think even that, it's a big hit for them. Because again, they're not going to be with Mbappe, they're not going to be with Di Maria, but even Herrera's not playing. But
is Herrera injured?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dagba, and Thiago Silva isn't playing either. But even then, I give Atlanta a shot. I give Atlanta a definite shot in this game.
Right.
But if they would have Ilicic, I think it would be more on the cards. But I think with PSG, I know we always said everyone's always said on paper they're great, but in games they always fail to rise to the occasion.
Right.
But I think with this one, they can see probably that this is their best shot to making the final.
I think honestly this has been one of the more complete squads in a while.
Sure.
I honestly feel even when they did lose against Barcelona, that miraculous comeback where Sergio Roberto scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
I still feel everyone points to that team or points to I don't know, when Ibra was there as one of the more dominant sides, but honestly, if I look at this seems like a more well-balanced side.
Yeah, and they seem to figure out their goalkeeper situation, which looks to be, Keylor Navas has always been an underrated goalkeeper for me, but I think,
No, he's world-class. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He showed that at Real Madrid, and I think he's showing that at PSG. Again, I have to agree. It's always been dodgy goalkeeping because they had Kevin Trapp, who wasn't the best. Areola looks.
He was good.
He's decent. He's just not. I don't think he's a star. I think honestly, Areola could be the the next Romero in terms of being like the best backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, and he's too young to be a backup goalkeeper, but yeah.
But like it's something to that degree.
They had Buffon, who's well past his prime,
Right.
and now they have Keylor Navas, who seems to be kicking on. He seems to
right.
be...
I mean, listen, they're getting the best out of Kurzawa and Bernat. I mean, that right back role, I mean, they lost Thomas Muniz, so it's going to be interesting to see who they replace him with. I think they played Carrier over in that right back's position.
But even then, they might have to switch him back to the center back, which could look like a back... I mean, we've seen Thomas Tuchel play with formations before, but I think...
It would be interesting. Maybe they deploy Idrissa Gana Gueye over maybe in a center back role, and then put Kerr over at that right back role.
I could see that.
I mean, just because we've seen Pep use Fernandinho in that center back role.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So definitive answer, we give PSG the edge on this one.
I'm going to give PSG the edge.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, I want to touch on the fact that I know we're going to get to this game in a second. But Lyon, we in our last preview said, they had a shot, but we really thought Juventus were going to go through. They went through on away goals. Depay coming up clutch with a penalty. Ronaldo scoring twice, but no one really could hit the mark after. Lyon are now playing Man City. How do you think? Before we get into that Man City game, how do you think that Juventus versus Lyon game went? And could this be the last time we see Ronaldo in a Juventus shirt?
No. It's first of all, no one's affording him in this market.
Right.
So unless he throws his toys at the pram saying I'm not playing, which there's a joke going around where it's like Mbappe, Neymar, and Ronaldo trying to figure out who's taking penalties, and it's the office scene where they're all holding guns to each other. Yeah. But he's not leaving Juventus anytime soon.
Okay, so how'd you make that Juventus-Lyon game?
You know what? I think it's not one of those games that Lyon were kind of on the counter and they played a really good game. Like it wasn't just it wasn't just they had less possession, so they were always on the counter and they always were doing that. They played an incredible game. I thought I think personally Sarri is probably the one to blame. You have that much talent on your team. I know it's coming off a restart, but you have that much talent on your team, and they can't take them past Lyon, which personally, I feel bad for Ronaldo because he seemed to really at one point be one of the only only players willing his team back.
Right.
I think they kind of even just. I don't even know if they just looked depleted. They just looked out of it.
Yeah.
And I think, Lyon kind of took that to their advantage and scored as many goals as they needed to.
Right.
I think Lopez made some incredible saves. But again, I think it just was that.
Right, and I think honestly this is going to be not their last time in Europe, Lyon. Honestly, if you look at them, they do look like one of the underdogs going into the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Because they are playing Man City.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
We've talked about Leipzig and Atalanta being underdogs. But they finished in 7th. Obviously, since Ligue 1 didn't restart and just canceled their season.
Right.
Yeah, they finished in 7th, which was unfortunate for them. So this is going to be their last year in European football until they can qualify for European football again. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive they play, just knowing the fact that they're not even getting Europa League, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the things that fueled them to go all out against Juve.
Yeah. So again, we could see that against Man City, but just going back.
The next game is Atletico Madrid versus RB Leipzig, which I think actually will be one of the most interesting games I've watched.
Yeah.
Atletico will most likely be without Morata and Lemar when with RB Leipzig it's going to be Campbell.
Obviously also Werner.
No, what do you mean? But I think this is a genuine even game. I like Diego Simeone in this matchup. I think while I like Diego Simeone just because who does that to Liverpool? Watford. But who does that to Liverpool? They win both games as well. I think, of course, Adrian, but even then, it's still Liverpool. They shouldn't be allowing those goals. But yeah, I think, personally, I'm going to go ahead and say Atletico edge this one out. Right. I think if they would have a full-strength squad, I think it's a little more convincing, but I think they just edged this one out.
I think it's also interesting the fact that I think you have two ends of the spectrum here. Like Nagelsmann has been always considered as a guy as more of an offensive coach.
Sure.
If anything, he's very good dealing with counterattacks and dealing with hitting teams on the break and that kind of stuff. And then you have Diego Simeone, who likes to sit back, who likes to take on the pressure, who likes to not really. Yeah. He's more defensive, so it's going to be very interesting. I mean, granted, you look at both sides. I mean, does seem very interesting, very similar matchups. I'm actually going Leipzig on this one, my opinion. Like, Gulaski, honestly, is on the form of his career.
Yeah, but I mean, you compare Gulaski with
Oblak, right?
The best goalkeeper in the world right now.
Right. I mean, granted, they're going to be without Orban just because he's been injured, but I mean, they've been playing with Upamecano, Konate, and Mukiele, which has honestly been a fantastic backline for them. Angelino has looked impressive on his loan move. Haustenberg has honestly shown that he's been doing all right. Klosterman as well. The fact that, that Nkunku's also been doing well. Olmo, you have Kevin Campbell, who's, doubtful, but, he's also always been consistent for Leipzig. And then going forward, you have Sabitzer, you have Poulsen, you have Forsberg, you have Schick, who's been loaned in from Roma, who's also looked pretty good. In my opinion, I'm going with Leipzig on this one. I just see Leipzig pulling it out. They honestly, I think they could probably break down Simeone's defense, and I'm going Leipzig on this one.
Right. Next game, I think, is probably going to be the most exciting.
Right.
It is Barcelona versus Bayern Munich.
Yeah. It's gonna be a heavy hitter game.
This is gonna be my favorite one to watch because it's either gonna be a shootout or one goal.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't see it going any other way. So what do you I've been studying a lot of these off. What do you make of this one?
This is honestly pretty much. How do I put this? It's going to be fucking exciting. I think it's going to be a shootout. I honestly think Lewandowski's on the form of his life. You compare that with a strong Bayern side, with the likes of Gnabry, with the likes of Coman, the fact that they've looked fantastic since restart. The fact that Barcelona hasn't, right? They looked good against Napoli, but honestly, I think it's just because Messi is Messi.
Yeah.
Longley scored, and Suarez on a penalty, but
Messi, he had 8 goals disallowed, and you talk about willing a team. He really at some points looked like
right.
He looked incredible. You could see that was Messi. The
right.
He made
a lot of people.
Look terrible.
No, Koulibaly was pretty much like how Varane was.
Koulibaly without anyone else is Phil Jones. 89 million Phil Jones.
Oh my god, shut up. But they absolutely thrashed Chelsea. With the backline of Rudiger and Zuma.
With Lampard as their manager.
Okay. That's a topic for another day, Ben. The fact that they don't have the strongest back line, obviously you're going to thrash them.
Yeah.
Barca have a decent. It's aging. Umtiti's constantly injured, so I don't know if he's going to be fit for this game.
He's out.
He's out.
Him and Lenglet are out.
So they're both out. So it's going to be interesting because now.
I don't know. Lenglet's out. He's doubtful.
Okay.
But Umtiti's definitely out. He's always been injured.
Right. It's going to be Piqué and whoever else they can play at center back, right? I think they're hoping for Lenglet to come back.
He's been their best defender for years now. Ever since they bought him, really.
Yeah, Piqué, but he's getting up there. His pace isn't there, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to keep up with... Lewandowski isn't the quickest, but he is one of the strongest. But if Gnabry cuts inside or something like that, or Coman, it's going to be interesting to see. Because... Semedo and Alba, they probably could deal with it, but if it gets to that second level, I don't know. They are also gonna all be without Artur in this game. Just
he's balling out in Brazil.
Honestly, and yeah, they're gonna be without Dembele. Griezmann's doubtful. I got Bayern.
Yeah.
I no question about it. The Bayern have looked fantastic since coming back. I mean, they're gonna be without Coleman, but Gnabry, Muller, Perisic, if they still have him, Lewandowski, um, Davies has obviously been great. Goretzka, if they have Coutinho still on loan, if they extended his loan, that would be very interesting. Thiago is also another one that's going to be interesting to see. And they just have a great defense. I mean, Pavard's injured, but they can play Alba. They have Lucas Hernandez, Sula, Oriozola back there. Like I have Bayern.
Yeah,
I have Bayern
think Bayern is Bayern who, even going into this restart were one of the favorites. I think
Right.
it's going to be an incredible game. I think, as I said before, it's either going to be one goal or just 5 goals. But I think Bayern probably edges this one.
Yeah.
Unless Messi can come up with, I mean, we've seen it happen before, but unless Messi can come up with something.
With Messi magic.
Yeah, something that he's always done before.
I mean, it's an interesting matchup because you have, obviously Coutinho, not ex-Barcelona, but Barcelona loanee. You have Thiago, ex-Barcelona, and then you also have two, you have past and present German goalkeepers going at each other. It's like Neuer, who's been considered one of the best goalkeepers in the world, compared to Ter Stegen, who's also considered one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Like it's a very interesting matchup, just from paper wise, I guess. I don't know.
But we both go with Bayern.
Right.
On to the last game. We talked about it earlier.
City versus Lyon.
City versus Lyon.
I mean, honestly, City obviously looks like the favorites, and I'm going to say yes, but I just want to throw it back to the Real Madrid game that they played. As Sterling and Jesus just made Varane look silly. Like, they honestly made him look silly. Benzema tried to pull it back, but honestly, it was bad. Varane really couldn't keep up with him. They were obviously without Ramos.
They didn't look the best, or Varane didn't look the best, and I think isolated with arguably one of the best strike forces in the world, he's gonna have problems, and he did. I mean, some of them were unforced, but he had problems.
Right.
And that's what Man City offers, and this is something that everyone's talked about. They don't just have 3 players; they have 3, 4, 5, 6 players. Not to repeat 3 again, but they have a multitude of players that can come after you.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, you can stop De Bruyne. What about Sterling? What about, I was gonna say Sané? But what about Aguero? What about Jesus? What about Bernardo Silva? I think it's gonna be really, really difficult for Lyon to kind of stop that. I'm gonna go with. I was gonna say I'm gonna go with Lyon. I'm gonna go with Man City here.
Yeah,
it pains me to say that. I think Lyon have a chance if they can rely on Dembele or Depay. They don't have Aguero. That could be something. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but they haven't been with Aguero for a while now.
I know. I'm just saying that could play into something there because we've seen Jesus have awful nights.
Yeah, no, he's been an up and down striker for sure.
I'm just gonna say Man City because they just have so many players that can kill you.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Man City do look like Man City obviously look like the favorites here. Lyon, I think honestly, really got lucky, just because when they played Juve, that first goal was a tap in, and then how they beat Juve was through away goals because of a penalty.
I mean,
I see them having to get lucky. No, listen. Lyon have a great squad. I'm not saying
and they played a good game.
They did,
yeah.
But they did get some luck on their side, like how they beat them. It was through a tap in, and it was through a penalty, and it's through away goals. To me, that's just a little bit lucky, but I see City going through.
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna be another interesting game if City and Bayern That's just going to be another fantastic game.
It's the Pep Derby.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be two attacking guys going after it. I like Hansi Flick, but that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is gonna be cool because it's gonna be coming out so fast.
Right, no, like, the finals on the 23rd. That's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting. But we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Any last comments, Ben?
No. I'm trying to think of something funny. I can't.
Okay, good, because you're not a comedian. I hope you guys did enjoy.
Screw you, man. Fuck you.
I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of Off the Bar podcast. Let us know your opinions in the comment section down below. Obviously, like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Don't forget to also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Links are going to be in the descriptions down below. And yeah, like I said before, let us know your opinions in the comments. What your predictions are for the Champions League and the Europa League. Anything else you guys want to throw into the conversation, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day and take it easy.